Welcome to another Explainer by Forge College. I'm your host, and today we're looking at common attack vectors and patterns. Now, in our previous lesson, we unpacked the core mechanics of reentrancy attacks. But today we're putting on our detective hats and taking that theory out into the field. You can think of this as a forensic masterclass. We're going to learn how to spot the exact moment a smart contract gets, well, sick. And more importantly, how to stop a bug from draining $1 million while everyone's out on their coffee break. So let's dive right in. Here's our master schematic for today's diagnostic journey. First, the anatomy of an attack. Second, the 4 attack vectors. Third, real-world attack symptoms. Fourth, the vulnerable vault. And finally, we'll wrap up with the triage toolkit. Section 1, Anatomy of an Attack, where we recap the window of opportunity. Okay, so the root cause of the disease almost always comes down to sequencing. The reentrancy window opens up when a contract makes an external call before it updates its internal state. It's kind of like a bank handing you a stack of cash, but then pausing to take a coffee break before they actually deduct the amount from your ledger. During that little pause, a malicious actor just loops back around and says, "Hey, I'd like to withdraw my balance again." And because the ledger hasn't been updated yet, the contract just happily obliges. Section 2, the 4 attack vectors, identifying the suspect lineup. Whenever we're inspecting smart contract blueprints, there are 4 main vectors, or strains of the bug, if you will, that we're hunting for. We've got withdraw and reenter, cross-function, callback-hook, and gas edge cases. Let's break these down so you know exactly what to look for. First up is the classic withdraw and reenter. This is by far the most common variant. It's basically the common cold of smart contract bugs. Well, if the common cold could drain millions of dollars in a matter of seconds. An attacker triggers a transfer, they receive the funds, and before the contract updates their balance, the attacker's fallback function just calls the withdraw function again. It forms this continuous, devastating loop. Next is cross-function reentrancy. Now, this suspect is much sneakier. The vulnerability doesn't just sit in one poorly written withdraw function. Instead, it spans across multiple functions that happen to share the same accounting state. An attacker might call a claim function that makes an external call, right? And during that call, they re-enter an entirely different deposit function to manipulate that shared state. It completely bypasses your simple single-function security checks. Our third vector is the callback-hook. This one's particularly nasty because it actually hijacks standard token behavior. Certain token standards, like ERC 777, have built-in hooks that automatically notify a receiver when they get tokens. Well, an attacker can use these perfectly legal, standardized hooks to execute malicious code and wedge open a reentrancy window. The contract author might think they're completely safe because they're just using standard token transfers, but this vector literally turns that standard feature into a weapon. Finally, we have gas edge cases. This is a highly technical vector. Attackers will manipulate the nuances of gas stipends, like the default 2300 gas limit on standard transfers, or they'll exploit differences in how gas works across different EVM-compatible chains. By really carefully metering gas, they can create partial execution windows, bypassing certain fallback protections that developers swore were airtight. It's honestly like picking a lock with a microscopic laser. Moving on to Section 3, Real-World Attack Symptoms, Diagnosing Traces in the Wild. So what does the forensic evidence actually look like on-chain? Well, a healthy, normal transaction trace is nice and clean, right? You have a single external call, it finishes, and the state updates safely. But an active infection, that tells a totally different story. You're going to see a call followed immediately by these jagged, nested, repeating calls looping right back into the exact same contract. When an engineer sees that repeating heartbeat on a trace, alarm bells absolutely go off. Beyond just the traces, there are high-level symptoms you really need to watch out for. A single transaction that inexplicably drains multiple accounts, repeated external calls to the same untrusted address, or sudden callbacks interrupting what should be a standard transfer. Recognizing these symptoms is absolutely critical. In fact, this exact pattern is what happened in the infamous DAO attack. And if you enjoy diving into the history of these massive exploits, students actually analyze these historical traces in some of our more advanced security courses here at Forge College. It is absolutely fascinating stuff to see in hindsight. Section 4, the vulnerable vault, examining a faulty blueprint. Let's make this totally concrete with a naive, simple vault withdrawal function. Step 1, the contract checks if you have a sufficient balance. Makes sense. Step 2, it sends you the funds via an external call. Step 3, it deducts the amount from your balance. The fatal flaw here is Step 2. That external call hands control right over to the attacker before Step 3 ever happens. So the attacker just pauses Step 2, loops back to Step 1, and drains the vault. A simple, basic sequencing error that cost millions. Section 5, the triage toolkit, mapping symptoms to vectors. All right, this right here is the ultimate cheat sheet for a forensic smart contract engineer to map observed symptoms to immediate actions. If you see an external transfer happening before a storage update, suspect a withdraw and re-enter and immediately implement the checks effects interactions pattern. Got multiple public functions touching the same storage? Suspect cross-function and review your invariants. Token transfers getting weird? That's a callback-hook, so you need to avoid untrusted callbacks. And if you spot unexpected nested calls despite using standard transfers, you've got to audit your gas assumptions. Mapping the symptom tells you exactly how to stop the bleeding. So, I'll leave you with this question. Can you spot the reentrancy window in your own code? Because knowing the theory is one thing, but recognizing the symptoms in a real blueprint is what actually saves the vault. In our next lesson, we're going to reproduce a simple exploit in a testnet environment so you can see it from the other side of the screen. Until then, keep those ledgers updated before you hand out the cash. To dive deeper into this and other Web3 security topics, come visit us at forge.college. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.